What is good, fam? Agent O here, and today I have the Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi All Might figure. I'm sure everybody and their grandmother has already reviewed this guy, so don't pay attention to them, just pay attention to me. And yeah, I was really jazzed that I got this figure. I got it on Monday, but I spent some time just playing around with him, and I kind of procrastinated a bit because I was doing that, and I didn't take as many pictures as I would have liked, just because I had too much fun just messing around. So yeah, that's why my review on this guy is so late, but it doesn't matter because I have it here now and we are going to get into it. So, yeah, here's the box, and you can this is how they always do with Amazing Yamaguchi. Everything on the box art is just so busy and super colorful. It's too bad that we don't see this kind of stuff in stores that much anymore, in brick and mortars, but it is what it is. And yeah, so this is the box. You guys know I don't really care about the box. I just do this for those of you that watch that do like the box art and want to see all this fun stuff. So yeah, this is it. I did have a good laugh at this though. But yeah, that's pretty much it, and I want to really review this guy because there's kind of a lot to cover. So let us jump into it, or jump in it. So yeah, here we go. Here's All Might. And yeah, right off the bat, I mean, as soon as I got this guy out of the package and started getting a good look at him, I was pretty impressed with, I don't know, just the paint apps, the dark blue and the bright red and the really bright white. It just jumps out at you, and this is it looks just like on model with the show and the manga. And I like how all the paint the blue doesn't look like it's bleeding through the paint itself. Everything looks like they gave it just enough amounts of paint coating, so that none of that blue bleeds through. And yeah, I really dig it. The stylization is on point of this figure. I mean, he looks like he stepped right off the page of the animation cell or the manga, or both, depending on which one you're more partial to. Everything about this sculpt, I guess, I just really like. They got the body proportions right. He looks super heroic, like comic book style, super heroic, and I dig all that. I really like the sculpt on his face and on the hair. I'm gonna try and adjust my camera with one hand, and I failed, as I knew I would. I knew I'd slip and mess it up, but there we go. So yeah, I really do dig the sculpt. I like how there's no paint wash on this whatsoever. I don't think a figure like this needs it if it's supposed to look like it stepped out of an animation. I like how it's just the base colors, and the sculpt is so nice and so defined that the light plays off of it and casts its own shadows on the sculpt itself. So you don't need a wash. It's totally unnecessary. I mean, I like the way they've defined the hair so nicely on this guy. Everything about it just works. I have no complaints about the sculpt of this guy. I know the figure's cut up, and I know a lot of people complain about that. Oh, the action figure's too cut up or whatever. There is a little bit of paint bleed around here, but it's not bad, and it's just a few flecks. It's not a big deal. Other than that, I didn't really see any other slop on him. But like I was saying about the how cut up the figure is, I mean, you're buying an Amazing Yamaguchi because you want the posability, you want the articulation, you want to do crazy, fun, extreme dynamic poses that you can get with most figures, but this is like for, really going full anime. And so if that's something you don't like, then this isn't really a line for you. Like I always tell people, if you don't like cuts in your action figures, go with real action heroes or Hot Toys or something, that's more up your speed. But I like this, and I think Revoltech has done a good job over, you know, across these figures in tweaking their engineering and doing a better job of hiding some joints or just blending them in better so that it just doesn't look so odd. Like, I compare this guy with Deadpool, and you know, some of the earlier Revoltech Yamaguchi figures, and you can just see how far along they've come with tweaking their sculpts so that and their engineering, their articulation schemes and stuff, so that stuff is less prominent and it looks more like the figure. So with that said, I want to get into the articulation, and I want to talk about the head sculpt. I'm sorry, not the head sculpt, but the head articulation. Since the hair is on its own like connector, it allows them to look up all the way. And I mean, you can only really look forward, but since the base of the neck is on a ball joint, it allows you to look down and you get some swivel, you can turn, and he can tilt his head. So there's lots of head articulation. Like when he can look all the way up and it doesn't look odd. Even this doesn't look odd. They're just getting better, which I like to see. His shoulders, these kind of remind me of the old Deadpool shoulder joints because it's on a double ball joint. One of these, I think the big one's a swivel, it's a ball swivel, but then the ball joint connecting into the deltoid or the bicep area is an actual ball joint. And so you can have his arms out a little bit, but you can also make them flush to the body. You get lots of range of motion because of the sculpt, so it doesn't get in the way. Whoops. As I get it back in position, there we go. You can raise his arm up that far, which is really nice. I know it looks kind of funky because, you know, there's no butterfly joint or anything to kind of fill in that gap, but you know, if you're shooting photos, you're gonna shoot the photos in such a way that it kind of covers that stuff up anyhow. And you can get his arms to kind of come out and kind of come in. So you do, even though there's no bicep swivel, you can kind of play with it a bit, and there's enough range of motion that you can fake the rotation. So there's that. At the elbow, you get this much of a bend. It's really good, really pretty deep bend, as I just popped it out of the socket, but pops right back in. Now he does have wrist articulation, which I didn't really think was necessary, but here we are. I mean, it's there. I mean, because you do have the ball swivel joint, the ball peg. I pop that back on. You have the wrist articulation as well, at the joint, and you do have a good bend when the sculpt of the sleeve isn't getting in the way. But like I said, that's what this rotation is mainly for. Now with the torso, the diaphragm joint, you get a lot of range of motion, as you can see, lots of rockage. Not as much with the lower torso. It does rotate, which is nice, and you do get a little bit of rockage left and right. The belt's just floating on there, so you can move that as needed. Now there is thigh swivel, but you can without using the thigh swivel, you can turn, and you get a lot of good range of motion just in that. The thigh swivel is more for faking a split. So when you use the thigh swivel in conjunction with the hip articulation, you can pretty much get a full split out of this guy, which is always nice. Like I said, you know, full range of motion. That's what you're here for with the Yamaguchi figure. Now with the knees, You get a really deep bend because it's not really a joint, it's just the two halves jointed together. So that's why you get all that range of motion. There is a boot cut on this guy. I don't care for boot cuts, especially on Marvel Legends. I don't think they're necessary. If you do the ankle articulation just right, you don't need a boot cut. But this is more for rotating, or I'm sorry, pivoting. It looks better on this side. You can get a lot of pivot on this guy, and it's more for getting those heroic, really exaggerated poses where, you know, you have that really deep bend when the character's standing, and that's really more for what that boot cut is for. So he looks like even more super heroic when he's standing, when you give those like stoic looking statuesque poses. Now his ankles, this is where I kind of have a bit of a problem, and just the ankle rotation, and I'm sorry, the articulation, because, you know, you have this gap, as you can see, and you're not gonna, I mean, the gap isn't gonna be there when you're posing, because it's just mainly so you can get a really deep bend at the ankle for when the toes are pointing up, or you can have them fold and going all the way back. That's really what that's for. My gripe with it though is it's just kind of loose, and so it makes posing the figure in some of those extreme poses a little harder, because it doesn't hold, it's not as stable. I can still get the poses I want out of it, just because, you know, obviously you play around with these things long enough, you figure out how to balance them properly, and you can always use the stand if you need to. I don't like using the stand unless it's really for aerial poses, jumping or whatever, jump kicks and stuff like that. That's when I'll prefer to use a stand. But if I can avoid using the stand and just pose him, you know, in really stretched out poses like so, you know, I want the joint, I want the pegs to be stiff enough that he'll stay on his own. Like I said, they're a little loose, and I can finagle it and get it just right, but I wish they were firmer, just for, you know, ease and quality of life and all that fun stuff when you're playing with these figures, and just makes posing them faster when the joints are a little stiffer. But yeah, that's my biggest gripe with the articulation. Just mine was a little loose, and like a I don't know, I don't really want to mess around too long trying to pose this guy, but you can see he's like kind of teetering just a bit. But yeah, that's just with standing straight. Like I said, it's not horrible, it just could be a lot better. Now I just want to move on to the accessories, starting with the face, the different face plates that he comes with. So I'm going to move that out of the way, and start off with this one smiling face. I really dig this. Like I said, I love all the sculpts on these, and with this one I couldn't really tell much of a difference between these two. They both look pretty much the same, so I couldn't really tell. But you know, the only difference being that this one has the sweat drop, you know, the nervous sweat drop that you see in anime and manga. So yeah, it has that, but still looks pretty good. He has his frustrated, taking some damage because he's bleeding, because he's actually fighting somebody who can actually stand up and take his and dish out just as much as he gives. So that one looks good too. All these look good, no complaints. And you have your angry face sculpt. Looks really nice. He does come with these extra eyepieces. They're pretty much the same, except for where the little highlight is, the little reflection where the light pops off of it. It's kind of hard to see. So I'll move in a little closer, but yeah. And then he comes with these extra little joints. These are for the accessory pieces. that I'll get to, the effect pieces that I'll get to in a little bit. He comes with hands. He comes with a total of 5 sets of hands. So starting off, I really dig the hands on this figure. I just really like the sculpts. They're like muscular hands. I don't know how else to really call it. You know, the knuckles are really well defined. These like flexed posed hand. I like how the fingertip almost comes up on like a curve a little bit. I just really dig it. I mean, you can even kind of make out fingernails on this guy just off the sculpt. These are just sculpted really, really well. So you also have the peace sign hands, and he comes with a left and right for each of these. Looks really, really nice. His pointing hands for, you know, we're number one, or, you know, telling all the heroes, whoops, to go and fight. You know, the leading pointing finger hand looks good as well. Like I said, man, all of these look good. This could be used for like gripping or planting your hand on the ground. These are some of the best sculpted hands I've seen in a while. I mean, most import figures, they have good hand sculpts, but I just really liked these for some reason. And here's his judo chop hand, or, you know, waving. Just, I don't know, everything just looks really nice. And here is the thumbs up hand. Looks pretty spiffy as well. Gotta have that with All Might. Comes with this little piece to, you know, this little tool to poke the eyes out when you want to switch them out. And he also comes with these effect pieces that that if you need to, you can connect them all. It's one effect, but it's really one effect, but it splits into 3 pieces. So, you know, here's the one piece for, just so you can see up close. And this is where it would peg into the arm. I didn't point this out earlier, but if you saw some of the production photos, you saw this anyway. He has the peg holes in his forearms and in the back of his feet for where these effect pieces connect into. And they just peg in like so. It's real simple. And you can connect all 3 pieces to have one big piece, or you can connect the 2 and you can put it on the floor or on the ground, and you can make it look like he's pushing off, like he's about to jump up in the air or something. So yeah, I like these. I think these are cool that they included these. I always like when they do stuff like that. And of course, he came with the big word bubbles. You have this version of Smash, and then you have this other version of Smash. So that's good too. I mean, he came with less than Deku. I mean, Deku had 2 Smashes, and then he had his talking word bubble where he's just rambling on about supers and stuff. He came with this version of All Might only came with 1 stand, but he came with this extra piece for the stand. This is just for, I think, the word signage. I think this is specifically for the word signage, because I think they were trying to find a workaround to not give you 2 stands, because Deku came with 2 stands, and as much as I was happy that they did that, I didn't think it was really necessary. It wasn't necessary, but I'm not gonna take it. I'm not gonna refuse an extra stand, an extra figure stand. So, yeah, that is pretty much it. That's everything he came with. So I was really happy with the amount of hands and extra stuff he came with, because I always feel like that's something that when we pay these high-end prices, I expect to get like a lot of stuff with these figures that pertain to the character, and so I feel like we got that with this new production figure, or whatever you want to call it. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. I enjoy this figure a lot. I'm going to get a lot of play out of him, and if you haven't gotten this guy, get him, because I see this figure going up on the aftermarket like nobody's business if it hasn't already. If people already aren't scalping this guy like crazy. Hopefully, if you missed out, I would just sit tight, because I feel like this guy's popular enough. Him and Deku are popular enough that Revoltech could do a second run of this guy and of Deku. So, I mean, they've done multiple runs of Deadpool. So, I think they'll do another run of All Might and Midoriya. So, yeah, just keep an eye out and don't pay those aftermarket scalper prices, because it's yeah, just don't. Like AYINDI'S says, don't support scalpers. So that is going to do it for me. As always, leave your comments down below. Hit that like and subscribe button if you want to. If you like the content, and hit the share button so you can share it with your other collector buddies, and hit me up. I'm around, so I'll catch you guys on the next action figure review. I'm Agent O, and I'm out. Peace.